Hey yo, what is going on guys? Cash and Clean here. So for today, I wanted to talk about how inconsistent the gear is. And I'm just talking about every single gear that we have. So I'll just start things off with stellar gear, for example, or maybe we can just go back to shadow. If you guys played from back in the day, 2016, I would say earlier, but I don't have too much experience with the earlier days of Trove, but pretty much the main method I remember was that you took shadow gear, you leveled it up, and then eventually you got to radiance. From radiance, you leveled that up, and then eventually you got to stellar. We're kind of at the point where we drop stellar gear, but I guess, you know, it is what it is. Maybe we're just too advanced for the older times of Trove. But I kind of like that system. I don't know about you guys, but it kind of just made sense. And then the big thing is that whenever you upgraded your gear, like the stats felt a little bit more meaningful. I guess there isn't like a whole ton back then. I don't really have much to go off of because it's been such a long time. Plus, I didn't really have too much experience with it. But I do remember it being an actual big deal. Whereas if you finish your Mystic gear, for example, it's like, oh, finally, I'm done. And then after that, most people just end up quitting the game. But if you finished your gear back then, it wasn't like a completely game over. I'm sure most people wouldn't have quit. But we're kind of at the point where, okay, we have the stellar, but it doesn't do anything anymore. So we have crystal gear. That's like the new thing. That's like our kind of our baseline. Anything below it is bad. Anything above it is good. It's kind of like the middle ground. It's like being a diamond player in Overwatch. You have all those ranks above and then you have all those ranks below. And it's pretty easy to get. Like a brand new player that just got the game, just bought the disc from GameStop, plugged it in. They're like ready to go. They can get carried in delves, somehow get some delve shadow keys, and somehow get a crystal for it. I've seen it happen before. But then that brings the other question. So we have crystal gear and we have different levels of it. And you might see where I'm getting at with this. Everything just feels a little bit inconsistent from here. So with shadow gear, it went up to level 5. With stellars, it was just stellar. And even radiance, it was just radiant. I mean, recently they had the update, so we actually see stellar level 3, stellar level 2s and stuff like that. But it doesn't really mean anything, and we're not going to use this stuff. So for now, we're just going to say that there wasn't any levels. And then for crystal gear, there is levels, but it doesn't do anything. It just gives us extra stats a little bit and then some extra powering. Does it feel accomplishing? Sure, maybe a little bit. It's at least a little bit more doable to actually max out. And the thing about Trove, this is the cool part. So from going from stellar to crystal, you get extra stats, you get extra power rank, and everything just feels like an overall plus. Like you're getting a huge boost to your power rank, you're getting light, something brand new, and just overall extra stats, which feels amazing. I mean, who wouldn't want extra stats? But then that brings a major question of why Mystic gear? Why is Mystic gear so meaningless? Obviously, it gives lights, some bonus stats on top of whatever we previously had, but ultimately, it's not that good. You don't even need it. Maybe if you're going for purple runs, maybe if you're farming for more Mystic gear with the depth delving, just getting that extra bit of lights. I know I've talked about this a bunch already, but I haven't talked about gear in general as a whole and just how inconsistent it feels. With Mystic gear, we should have at least gotten an extra stats, maybe even more power rank. Like, I feel like this is a pretty big deal. Now, I'm gonna give the devs this. It does look cool, like having the Mystic gear. It does look cool. It's like purplish, gives it like a nice ominous vibe. I personally like how it looks, but I just don't understand why. It's kind of like the devs are mocking us, like one powering from going from Crystal 5 to Mystic gear. The resources it takes is not easy to get. I mean, at the start, it might be okay-ish, like it's doable, but it's just so unrewarding, which is why most people either end up quitting or they just don't farm it at all. Now, obviously, some people do want to have at least one max class, so there's that potential right there, but I just don't see why they can't make it have a little bit more meaning to it. Farming Mystic gear should just be a thing. Like, it's bad enough gems take a long time to get, and then the dragons, the primordials specifically, but then we got the Mystic gear. Like, at least with Crystal 5, like, that's pretty difficult to get with the tempered block elements. Maybe you don't have the flux for the nitro, but it's farmable. You can do it whenever you want to. With Mystic gear, good luck. You have to farm depth 170 and higher in the depth delve, and it's practically unsoloable, and you can, but it's going to take a long time. Unless you're an Omega skilled gamer with a solid gaming chair, then feel free to farm it, but I would personally like to see a complete rework of the gear in general, just so it's not super confusing for a new player, because when a new player plays the game, they're gonna pick up relic gear, shadow gear, just things like that. Like, what does all that mean to them? Realistically, nothing, because you can just get crystal gear, which is like kind of the middle to high tier gear that you end up getting. And then if you get crystal 4 early on, that pretty much just sticks with you until the end game. Like before we got Mystic gear, for example, and even Crystal 5 gear, Crystal 4 was max. That was the highest we can go. And we were able to achieve the 45k power rank. You pretty much needed everything, but it was still doable. But it just feels weird that you can have the gear just done instantly, but then at the same time you don't. I don't know if you guys are catching on with what I mean by that, but you can get your Crystal 4 gear pretty early on and it just sticks with you the whole time. and then eventually you can get to Crystal 5 gear, and you'll just kind of stick with that until you get to 42.5k power rank, until you can start farming for Mystic Gear materials. And I don't know, it just feels very, very weird. But as always, I do want to hear what you guys have to think. I think we're on the same page about the Mystic Gear stuff, but I want to hear what you guys have to think about the gears below that. What you thought about the upgrading system from Shadow to Stellar, and then how much of an impact going from Stellar to a Crystal actually made. And then the whole going from Crystal Gear to Mystic Gear is just pretty much nothing. I'm not sure if Mystic Gear is supposed to be something like Relic Gear, where eventually we get something way better, where it needs all of the leveling. I really have no idea. Maybe one of you guys can understand what the devs were thinking when they implemented this. I really have no idea. But either way, I kind of like these discussion topics because I like to see what you guys have to think about all this as well. Because it can't just be me. It seems pretty strange. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. Either way, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys later.